Hello everybody, Z3KO Trinity here. Today I'm going to be doing a book review on A Court of Mist and Fury. This is the second book in the Sarah J. Maas series. The first one was I was literally going to say A Court of Mist and Fury again. This is the second book of A Court and Thorns and Roses. If you have not seen my review of the first book, please go and check it out. Sarah J. Maas is the writer of such titles as Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and all those good stuff. Right there's the Court of Thorns and Roses. Here's a brief of the back if you want to read that. But this book is so freaking good. I love this book so much better than the first one. So much better. And here is why. Simply because Rhysand. He was my favorite character in the first book. I knew that there was something badass about him. We didn't really get to learn his character much in the first book. And really, he was portrayed as like this villainy kind of guy. But this whole book is basically about him, his court, and just all of the whole Night Court. And I absolutely loved it. It starts off with Feyre picking up the pieces where her huge sacrifice from the last book left off. And she's not quite sure how to handle herself. And her and Tamlin are to be married, but she's having second thoughts because of how broken she feels. And so, during this whole wedding at the beginning, she's just not quite sure how she really feels about Tamlin, because she's starting to see a little bit more of his darker side. Because he had to, do this tax thing. I forget the term they used for it, but he was basically having people come and give them, wares and give them food and stuff like that. Otherwise, they couldn't, live and be punished severely. And she's just starting to see this whole new side of Tamlin. Well, right at the wedding, she starts having this panic attack as she's going down the aisle, and she's asking for help and begging for help. Well, Rhysand shows up and he's like, hey, I'm choosing this week to be my week that I see her. Because in the last book, he gave her this tattoo on her arm, which is a bond that him and her have. That basically he can hear her thoughts and just kind of see through her and stuff like that. So he ends up showing up and basically taking her to his court. And at first she's all negative about it, but in the end she really is thankful that he did that. Because she's not quite sure where her and Tamlin are really at. But that whole week goes by really well, and he's like, I'm going to start teaching you how to read and teaching you how to be able to block your mind, because he's easily able to read her mind whenever he wants, and he doesn't want an enemy to be able to do that to her. So through that whole week that she's there, he's either it's a week or a month. I'm pretty sure it was a week, but it could be a month. That whole entire time, he was teaching her how to read slowly, and it was really funny because he would write down Rhysand is the greatest lover ever, Rhysand is the greatest king ever, stuff like that, and she had to read it and write it and stuff like that, while putting up a mental shield blocking from being able to read, from him being able to read her mind and stuff like that. Well, she goes back to Tamlin. He starts having this big old fit about it, and he imprisons her in her own home. Now, he puts a barrier around the house where she cannot leave, and everyone else is able to freely go in and out whenever they please, but she is not allowed to leave. So she's sitting there having this panic attack, begging somebody to help her once again, and vada ving, vada voom, more Rhysand and I think Cassian shows up, and they like save her, bring her to the Night Court where she remains throughout the entire book. And this completely throws her off Tamlin. She's 100% pissed off at him. She no longer feels that love that she had felt before. And she's really confused because where she was resurrected from the last book, all 7 of the High Lords gave her part of their power when they resurrected her. And slowly it's going out of control. Like, she's starting to shapeshift, grow claws out of her hands. She's, like, catching things on fire and just all kinds of stuff going on. And the whole entire time that she's basically at the Night Court, she's wanting to learn how to control her abilities and learn to fight, learn to not be so damsel in distress kind. Well, Rhysand is teaching her, helping her, but there's also this war that's about to happen. The King of Prythian, which is the King of Hyrule, he wants to destroy the wall that is separating the mortal world and their world. If that was to happen, he wants to kill basically all the humans and kind of take over their territory, which is where Feyre's sisters live and her father and all the people in that innocent town. Well, they all through the book, they try to figure out her powers, get their powers learned, and it ends so good. I don't want to give away too much right off the bat in case you're interested and want to read, so I'm going to go ahead and slice the book in half, if you will, or the video in half, if you will. This will be the part where I talk about spoilers and continue on. So if you're completely sold and want to read this, because I highly recommend you guys to read these books. The first one was good. This one is so much better. But yeah, I'm going to continue on now with the spoilers. So, this war is coming on. She's learning how to fight, learning all this stuff. And in order to stop this war, they need 2 book parts. One book is being held at the, where was it? Oh, shit, I done completely forgot the name of that court and that guy. Oh, well. Tarquin. Tarquin is the name of the guy. Summer Court. How could I forget the Summer Court? Jesus Christ. Yeah, they have to go to... One of the books is at Summer Court, where it's being held by Tarquin, which I have to say, Tarquin is a pretty badass character. I really do like Tarquin. He has water-like abilities, which is actually pretty badass. But the other book is being held by the Mortal Queens. It's like 6 queens who are all bitches on their PMS, and they're just in control of the other book, and that's what they have to have Feyre steal. So in order to figure out whether she's right for the job, he sends her out on a mission to retrieve something stolen at this witch-like place. And she ends up stealing back a ring, which is Rhysand's ring that he ends up marrying her with, which I thought was really romantic. And also, I just absolutely love the romance in this book. This book is probably one of the most romantic stories, fantasy stories I've ever read in my life. I love the moment where Rhysand is telling her that he had envisioned this girl painting and all that stuff, and that the whole mating bond thing was just so perfect. I loved it to death. But things continue on, and they all fall into a big old trap at the end of the book. And I have never been so pissed off at a character before, but I hate Tamlin. Tamlin, he's a piece of shit. I know, I get it. He wants Feyre back. He thinks that Rhysand has control of her, took her over, because he was able to influence people with his ability using their minds, but he doesn't even realize that they're actually mates and they are meant to be together. So he fucks everything up, and it costs her sisters' lives because they get transformed into not high fae, but fae. And Cassian, his wings are destroyed, basically. I mean, it was just, the whole ending of the book was just so pissing me off royally. Then Feyre makes another sacrifice, sacrificing the whole bond between her and Rhysand. Not the mating bond, but this whole tattoo, able to communicate together kind of bond. And she pretended like he had her under a spell. So she goes back home with Tamlin. Rhysand goes there and he's like, let's prepare for war. She's going to be my spy and the High Lady of the Night Court. And then it shows her talking to Tamlin, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I love it here. I promise I won't kill you in the night. And just, I love how it ends, because it's like, it really sets up a good beginning to the next book. I can't wait to read the next book. There's 2 more books right now. There's probably going to be another one soon. But please, guys, give these books a chance. They are so good. But yeah, I thought this book was so romantic. 11 out of 10 for this one. I can't remember what I gave the first one. If I had to rate the first one, I would probably give it at least an 8 out of 10. But this one's a freaking 11. So go out, check it out if you have not already. Thank you guys for watching. This is an old school like video. This is what I used to do my videos like, just kind of showing a background or something and just flopping the movie or book or whatever I'm reviewing. So it kind of brings back some nostalgia for the channel. But thank you guys so much. Thank you, Sarah J. Maas, for a great story so far. And I will see you guys in the next video. Deuces. Deuces. Deuces.